This episode of the 46 of 46 podcast is sponsored by Crua Outdoors. Camp comfortably with the world's best insulated tents and outdoors gear. Check out their tents, sleeping bags, pads, and more at cruaoutdoors.com. That's CRUA outdoors.com. Crua Outdoors, the best night's sleep you'll have in the wild. It's 20 degrees out here, and day one of the Northville-Placid Trail is officially underway. We're coming up to the Aluska Lean-To, walking along the cold river, and it is raging today. We're here at the Noah John Rondo Hermitage, 2 miles out from Catlin Bay at Long Lake, climbing up towards the scenic viewpoint, and it is steep. We're walking between the Seward and Santanoni ranges right now. Well, it is a winter wonderland back here at Duck Hole. Crossing the suspension bridge over the Sacandaga River, it's a quiet, peaceful evening here at Spruce Lake number 3. Well, we woke up covered in 2 inches of snow here at the Kelly Point Lean-To. Passing the Cedar River flow, sunny day at Stevens Pond. We're building our campfire early here at Silver Lake to fight off the bugs. Wow. Dude, I have no idea how we're going to cross this swamp. Just walking down the road here in Piseco. Well, I guess it's time to take off the boots and cross the West Stony Creek. 1 mile to Lake Placid, 1 mile left to Northville. You're listening to the 46 of 46 podcast, the Northville-Placid Trail Edition. The Northville-Placid Trail, Day 6. Spruce Lake number 3 to Piseco. May 14th, 2020. The air was brisk, the ground was dry, and the sky was blue as the loons cried at Spruce Lake around 6 a.m., letting me and everybody else in the woods know it's time to wake up. Getting out of the sleeping bag, however, was once again a challenge. Though 30 degrees is a whole lot better than 20 degrees, it was still chilly, but it's been worse. But after about 20 minutes of laying there in my sleeping bag inside the Spruce Lake number 3 lean-to, looking at the daylight on the very calm and quiet Spruce Lake, I got up out of my sleeping bag, threw on my puffy coat, and began getting ready for the day. About 20 minutes after I got up, I saw Jonathan's hammock start moving, and he got up as well. For breakfast today, I ate a mostly frozen protein bar. So if you're not aware, protein bars tend to be quite dense, so when you add a frozen element to the mix, let's just say it took a while to eat. I also packed a couple scoops of protein powder for the morning as well. In my mind, protein, especially on the trail, is essential, and I wanted to make sure I was full and ready to go, so I threw a couple scoops of protein into my Nalgene, and boom. Just like that, I had 75 grams of protein to start my day, and I was ready to rock. I highly recommend when backpacking, if you're a protein shake kind of person, to pack a few scoops because it's probably the most amount of protein and calories that you can get in the lightest amount of weight. It's a major bang for its buck. A few scoops in a Ziploc bag weighs only a few ounces and it can be 100 plus grams of protein. Once again, we didn't have any animals last night, other than a couple of owls who were calling to each other across the lake back and forth for a good hour or more, right as I was trying to fall asleep. Back and forth, back and forth. So after our quick breakfast, we packed up our gear, threw on our packs, I sent the morning GPS text letting my loved ones know we were starting for the day, and we began hiking. Today's destination, the Route 8 road crossing in Piseco. Our plan for this short day was to get to Piseco as fast as possible. With only 11 miles of hiking in the woods until the final 3 miles of road walking in the town of Piseco, we didn't have a big day, so we planned to move as quickly as we could. And since there's only a few landmarks on the map today, our stops would be minimal and our pace would be quick. Piseco, here we come. A nice quiet morning here on Spruce Lake at Spruce Lake Lean-To number 3. Jonathan and I had a pretty nice evening, made a nice fire. It's about 31 degrees right now, which isn't too bad. It's not kill me cold, but it's a little chilly. Today we're going to Piseco. We have about 11 miles to get to the town, and then we walk through the town. It is 7:30 a.m., and we're leaving the lean-to. We left our campsite and walked back up to the trail at 7:30 a.m. Spruce Lake is a great destination because it's a nice lake for starters, but more so because there are 3 different lean-tos within 1 mile. So if you get to one and it's taken, you have options up or back down the trail. Just south of our campsite, the trail quickly crosses over a small stream flowing from Balsam Lake into Spruce Lake, where I filled up both of my Nalgene's. Fresh river water to get the morning started on the right foot. Scooped directly from the river itself, right into the Nalgene. Love that raw backcountry river water. Very quickly in our southbound journey towards Piseco, we came to Spruce Lake Lean-To number 2, which is only 0.2 miles away from Lean-To number 3. And just like that, we're at Spruce Lake Lean-To number 2. Over about a mile, there are 3 lean-tos along Spruce Lake. So, if you get to one and they're not available, you can keep going and now have 2 more within a mile. Well, looking at Spruce Lake Lean-To number 2, I think number 3 is a little bit nicer campsite, in my opinion. The woods are a nice mix between hardwood trees and spruce trees, mostly smaller spruce trees and huge hardwood trees. We're winding and weaving our way through the woods. Trail's pretty nice and defined. Leaves on the trail. Blue sky today. No clouds right now. Shaping up to be a nice morning. And the mud is frozen right now, so that's cool. So since it was the beginning of the day, we didn't stay and we just continued walking along the lake. We didn't stop. The leaf-covered woods are once again a nice mix of big hardwood trees and then small young spruce trees. And it was another clear, sunny day, which was just what I had hoped for. And no snow anywhere. And as you would guess, with 3 lean-tos being within a mile of each other, we passed Spruce Lake Lean-To number 1 very quickly at exactly 8 a.m. And we're now at the Spruce Lake Lean-To number 1, which is a nice little clearing. You're not really at the lake so much, so it's back a ways and it's probably nice and quiet. It's a big area though, big campsite. Looks like you have a little football game or a little wiffle ball game if you wanted to. The lean-to looks to be in very nice shape as well. Painted brown, new roof, not too bad. And one thing I've noticed about the Spruce Lake lean-tos compared to the Long Lake lean-tos, since I said this stretch of trail reminds me a lot of walking along Long Lake, is all of the lean-tos have signs right on the trail pointing you to the lean-to. So you won't really miss it, as opposed to Long Lake, where if you're not looking 50 yards, 75 yards towards the water, you will absolutely walk right past the lean-to. So that's nice about this stretch. Onward, towards Piseco. This campsite and lean-to seemed like a nice spot with lots of space, but it's not right on the water. But there is a lot of space there. And after we passed this lean-to, we only had a couple tent campsites on the map as far as landmarks go, until we reach Haskell's Road in Piseco. So not a lot to look forward to. Just a lot of walking in the woods, threading between small mountains and over small streams. My feet were decently sore after yesterday's 24-mile day, but overall, knowing it was a short day, it was easy to power through today. So we've been hiking for an hour. We're a little over 2 miles into for the day. We have just crossed over Bloodgood Brook, and we're making our way towards the first campsite that we'll pass today, the first of 2. The woods are more of the same. Big hardwood trees, little spruce trees. We're walking along old logging roads, nice and wide, nice and thick, well marked, easy to follow. Not too muddy, little bits of mud here and there, but overall pretty decent. We kept on hiking through the woods, and then we crossed over Bloodgood Brook, and shortly after arrived at the first tent campsite along the Jessup River at 9:25 a.m., about 4 miles and almost 2 hours into our day. Well, we made it to the campsite right along the Jessup River. Jonathan's going down to fill up his water bottle. But yeah, it's a nice campsite, right on the trail, literally. But it looks like a nice little flat area, little fire pit. But not a bad spot to camp. You're up on the bank above the river, so it's a pretty cool spot. Very remote, but again, right on the trail. There's 2 different tent sites here. One sits up on a bank above the river, directly next to the trail, trail/on the trail, and the other is down along the river. Both of them are impossible to miss since you'll literally walk right through them. The trail between Spruce Lake and Piseco has many areas of elevation gain, and then loss, and then gain, and then loss, constantly climbing up and over small ridges. More up and down than I've encountered yet on the NPT, actually, during this section. And I found this to be a nice change of pace, though, from what we've experienced thus far.
Well, it's been a long time since I've been hiking and felt the heat of the sun shining down, where I'm sweaty and want to put shorts on. So it's very pleasant right now, coming off of winter hiking and the 20 degrees we started in yesterday. But we're just plugging along the trail, up and down, logging road, nice and wide trail, but nature has taken it back from its logging road glories. But nice and pleasant. And Jonathan pointed out this morning that today is the opposite of winter hiking, where you start out warm, you wake up warm, then you go out in the cold and freeze. Today we woke up freezing and then went out and got warm. So it's pretty pleasant right now. Time to stop for a little water swig.
But the trail continues its up and down manner throughout the 2.4 miles between the two campsites, and then we arrived at the Fall River and Second Tent campsite a little before 11 o'clock, just over 6 miles into our day.
This campsite is on a nice little stretch of the river, very calm and peaceful, big open area.
30 miles in exactly.
We are exactly 30 miles in from where we started yesterday. We have about 3.5 miles to Haskell's, and then 3 miles to through Piseco. So we're cruising. The bugs are starting to show themselves now, though, so I'm not stoked on that. But so far, I have not had any bugs on this whole trip, this whole hike, period. So can't complain too much. But yeah, they're around.
This campsite sits on the river in a nice, flat clearing portion of the woods. And this area around the river was the only place on the day that we really encountered any bugs. So we were pretty lucky in that regard. From here, the next checkpoint was Haskell's Road, a mere 3.4 miles away. A nice, light day. The trail today was similar to yesterday in the sense that it's often a wide, very defined, well-marked, and delightful hike.
Going around this mountain now before we'll take a straight shot over to Piseco. Nice views up here, gaining some elevation as we walk around this mountain on our right, which I'm not sure at the moment what its name is. It's pretty neat as we're going around, and there's some nice mountains in the distance. It's nice to have views. You don't get a lot of mountain views on the Northville-Placid Trail, but when you do, it's really nice to see them.
James, the mountain that you just saw to the right is there?
In front of me?
The one in front of you, to the right.
This?
No, that one.
Okay, yep.
I am 100% sure that is Spec Mountain.
Speculator Mountain.
Speculator Mountain. Why? Because one, I grew up in front, looking at that mountain my entire life. Secondly, I know the exact shape of it and where it's really located in terms of the direction of the
Speculator Mountain is in front of us.
Because we're going to pass it as we go to Speculator.
Around 3 miles out from Haskell's Road, and having only eaten protein bars today, some beef jerky, and the occasional M&M, we decided to stop mid-trail and eat our lunch. Although calling it lunch is kind of sad, but it's what it was. If you recall from the last episode, John was only home in Lake Placid for a mere 8 hours before leaving to hike this section with me. So he wasn't able to get food, therefore what he had was minimal, so we shared my lunch for today, which was just an everything bagel and some peanut butter. Very unexciting. But we both could tell that we needed some more fuel as we were over 8 miles into the day, and we still had a few miles left to go. I gave John the top half of the bagel, and I had the thicker bottom half. I mean, after all, I'm bigger than he is, and this is my bagel, so I'm taking the bigger half, even though he had the half with the seasoning on it. Then we split the peanut butter accordingly, as friends would do. Compared to my lunch yesterday, this very much did not hit the spot. That is for sure. But it was enough to keep moving, and fortunately the remainder of the day was easy hiking. I have noticed in my experience here on the NPT, the more south the trail gets, the better condition the trail is. Of course, that could be due to when I chose to hike, but this area was very nice. I imagine a lot of locals use this part of the Northville-Placid Trail often, so it could be why it's so nice. especially as we get closer to civilization in Piseco.